119 pounds, Chuck Curwick of Waunakee, 30-0. His opponent, Gary Cain of Ellsworth, 29-1.
Ahead to the 119-pound class, the Class A champion, Gary Cain, 29-1. A senior from Ellsworth. You must be familiar with him, Kirby.
Yes, I've seen him wrestle a little bit over the years.
Okay, and his opponent, Chuck Curwick, the Class B champ, 30-0, unbeaten from Waunakee. Curwick, an 18-year-old senior, coached by Pat Christensen in his third year. And of course, your successor at Ellsworth, Jack Radebow, is in his 5th year there now.
Right.
And I know that this should be an outstanding match, and it's going to be difficult for you to try to remain partial.
Well,
impartial.
That's true, impartial. It's interesting, a 30-0 for Curwick and 29-1 for Cain. They met earlier in the year in the Badger Invitational, and that's Cain's one defeat. Curwick dominated that match that day, and I expect that Cain has been rather hoping to get a rematch. They're both very good on their feet, and I think we're going to see a lot of flurrying here. Curwick is much more the powerful wrestler as far as body strength is concerned. Cain tends to run to a little bit more slickness. And Curwick, of course, has been outstanding in freestyling as he placed 3rd last year in the Junior Nationals. And that's getting right on with it with all the people in the nation. Cain is dropping in for a single leg, and Curwick counters it beautifully. Seeing a lot of action now with 1:20 to go here in the first period.
We might mention that Chuck Curwick won the state championship last year at 112 pounds with a perfect 36-0 record, and this year he is 30-0, so he is 66-0 coming into this match tonight. An excellent wrestler, and of course he's up a weight this year to 119 pounds.
Right. There he drops in a fireman carry on Cain for 2 points. This is the kind of thing I think that if I remember back to the Christmas tournament that he did the same thing with Cain, dropping in for that fireman. He's excellent with it, very quick. Curwick has had some problems in the 2 matches prior to this. His match last night and his finals match today were close, and there he seemed a little bit closer than a lot of people would like to think. Curwick, of course, all you have to do is win them. Never mind whether they're by an awful lot, as long as you're there when they call roll for the next round.
30 seconds remaining here in the first period at 119 pounds. That's Gary Cain in the down position, being ridden by Chuck Curwick, the B champion from Waunakee. Excellent wrestling so far tonight. We hope you're enjoying it here on the WIAA Sports Network. Mark Shapiro and Kirby Syme bringing you all the action from the University of Wisconsin Fieldhouse. And Gary Cain comes out of there with a nice move.
Comes out with a nice move for an escape. 1 point as 2 seconds come down in the first period now, and they're hand fighting again. And 2-1 at the end of the first period for Chuck Curwick of Waunakee.
And one sister, Sue, was a cheerleader. His brothers are Bob, Doug. Doug was 3rd in the state in '72, Tom and Phil, so they have a wrestling family. You know, we look down the list of families of these young men, and almost all of them come from wrestling tradition, not only in their school, but from their brothers and their fathers and everybody else. It seems to perpetuate itself, doesn't it?
I think it does, yes, and everyone wants to do better than the father. I understand that one of the things about Iowa wrestling, for example, is that we're down to great-grandfathers and grandsons, and they're all sitting there wanting to keep up the tradition.
That was a good look at Jack Radebow, the Ellsworth coach on the bench, very concerned now. And of course, his wrestler, Cain, trailing 2-1. Right. Second period.
And Curwick is going right out after him. He's the kind that isn't going to sit around. He'd like to get a fall if he could. There's Pat Christensen, of course, and he doesn't get very excited either. As you watch him throughout the tournaments here, he loses more weight probably on the sidelines than he ever did trying to cut it as a wrestler.
Well, Pat was an NCAA champion at Wisconsin, and he's done a fine job out at Waunakee.
Curwick is riding Cain just very, very tough here now with 1:20 to go in the second period. Cain is trying to stand. Curwick with just a blanket leg ride and a tight gut wrench, and he works the bar on the near side, and it becomes awfully difficult to stand up. He's keeping good pressure on. Perhaps it looks easy until you get out there and try it with somebody as strong or stronger than you, pushing hard, trying to dump you down, keeping you off balance. And of course, anytime you take away, I think it's the old adage, take away a leg of a table and down it goes, and that's what they're trying to do. You got the 4 points of support, and they try and take away as many of them as they can, keep you down flat.
There's a good look at the scoreboard clock. 55 seconds remaining here in the second period. Curwick leading at 2-1. This is a match at 119 pounds for the state championship.
Right, and Gary Cain, I think, was beaten slightly on that move. Maybe he didn't intend to move. He sometimes will sit down underneath and not make the first move, letting the offensive wrestler make his move, and then he'll counter it. Curwick is just awfully tough with this ride here. It seems to me that with 30 seconds to go, Cain stands and attempts to turn in and almost gets caught going to his back on his support again now, and here it comes with another stand. 18 seconds to go in the second period. The score still 2-1 in favor of Chuck Curwick of Waunakee over Gary Cain of Ellsworth.
Chuck Curwick, decision Rick Gruber of Campbellsport, 5-5-2-2 referee's decision in the semifinals, and then in his championship match, he decisioned Gene Spellman of Pecatonica 6-5 for the right to be here tonight. Spellman, the Class C champ, we'll get a look at him in just a few moments. But as you mentioned, position, and the pressure really is on Gary Cain. He's got to come up with a point somewhere.
Right. Referee John Rammel of Sheboygan now gets them started to start the final period of this state championship match. Curwick not moving very rapidly from referees. There he's controlling hands, and he's gone up now at 3-1 rather, with an escape. And
I think that Cain probably let him out of their curve knowing that he has to get the takedown here.
Right, and then Curwick came right in and just popped by him. Cain knows he has to go in on the takedown, and Curwick just out moving him on that one, snapped his head down and went behind beautifully.
Unfortunately, when you know you have to gamble like that, sometimes that leads to a mistake.
Right, that's true. You start to press, and of course all the wrestler that's got the big lead has to do is sit and wait for that mistake, and oftentimes it'll come.
We're at 1:15 remaining here in the third period at 119 pounds. Gary Cain trails Chuck Curwick 5-1. And we are winding down now to the 1 minute mark.
Right, and Curwick is attempting with a leg grapevine to go to some sort of a pinning combination. However, referee John Rammel says, no, we're not going anywhere. We haven't improved any position, and we're going to go back to referee's position and start again on a stalemate. So once again now, Gary Cain down 5-1 with 57 seconds to go in the third period. Is in the down position. He's got to get moving, and Curwick again knocks him off his base and puts his head forward to the mat. He's keeping good pressure on Cain, driving him forward. Cain attempting to get something going here from underneath, controlling hands. He's doing this very well, Marsh, but it doesn't seem to have any. Every time he gets a hand free from one thing, Curwick goes to it somewhere else. Now he's got Cain in partial trouble, but not far enough over with 30 seconds to go. Still 5-1 for Chuck Curwick of Waunakee. He's got that good leg ride. It's awfully difficult to try and get a base under you. For this kind of situation, there's no way you can turn back again. If you do, you go to your back. And Cain can't allow that now. With 10 seconds to go in the match, he just can't allow himself to get put to his back. He does break out of that ride, and Curwick immediately goes to a crossbody ride with 3 seconds, and there it is, 119-pound match. Chuck Curwick 5-1 over Gary Cain of Ellsworth.
Well, that's the final at 119 pounds. As Kirby said, Chuck Curwick of Waunakee, the Class B champion, finishes with an unbeaten season now, 31-0. He beats Gary Cain, and he wins it. Following these messages, the 112-pound awards will be made, and we'll have a champ and the state champ, who also is the Class B champ, Chuck Curwick of Waunakee, who finishes the season with a perfect 31-0 record.